Stay with us. We're turning over to our one of our last updates coming out of the conflict. We turn to the United States for a big development. The Pentagon has informed Congress that there is no intelligence suggesting that Iran was planning a first strike on US forces. According to reports, this statement made during closed-door briefings with lawmakers contradicts earlier claims from the Trump administration that Iran might strike preemptively. Despite this, officials emphasized that Iran's missile and proxy forces posed an imminent threat to US interests. The US military's ongoing operation, which has already targeted over 1,000 sites in Iran, has led to the deaths of 3 American troops and 5 others being seriously wounded. The military strikes continue with B-2 stealth bombers targeting underground Iranian missile facilities. I want to go to Professor Rohan Gunaratne. Marco Rubio is set to address the Senate later. Of course, this war, unlike Iraq, unlike other conflicts which the United States has engaged in, didn't get congressional approval. Donald Trump, like his other foreign operations, did it himself. How do you expect the legislative branch of the United States government to react to this?
Thomas, in fact, it's a very sensitive question that you have posed. Even when it came to Venezuela, it was a decision that Trump made. So in the case of Iran conflict, he didn't call it war because of that very reason, because he would have had to get the approval from the other branches of government. So this remains a major point of contention. But of course, President Trump can demonstrate that Iran posed a very significant threat over a period of 40 years, because since 1982, Iran has been targeting US personnel, including a very big attack against the US Marine barracks in Lebanon. And since then, there was also a plot, most recently, to kill President Trump. It's a plot by a man called Farhad Shakiri, who is an IRGC agent. They want to kill Trump. So there are also other attacks that in the United States. So because Iran posed a persistent threat to US interests both at home and overseas, the US government should be convinced that Iran was moving in a direction that posed a threat, not only in terms of terrorism, but especially the proliferation of fissile and missile material, especially the Iranian intention to build a uranium, a nuclear weapon using enriched uranium.
Major General Sadakaji, just briefly, because we are running out of time. Donald Trump, of course, going to war without congressional approval. How is this going to feast for him domestically? All that's happened in the past 3 days.
The outcome is going to be disappointing. It will not be in favor of Donald Trump. I do take the point given by Professor. It has been for an objective cause. The assassination was attempted twice on the life of Donald Trump. But the means and method to come to this profile of an attack and giving lead to total chaos in the Middle East. It will lead to destabilization of not only Iran, entire Middle East. It will impact the oil market, the price of food, fuel, and fertilizer, and host of other things. The entire world order is actually going in for a terrible spike of oil price, resulting in complete disorder, supply chain disruption, and it will lead to further recession the world over. This is all I have to say at the moment. Therefore, there is a requirement to rethink on the part of the US, if at all they wanted to address the enemy as to who had organized these kind of assassination attempt, it should have been planned in a very objective and professional manner, rather than killing 40 leaders in one go and the supreme leader and bringing the entire nation to their knees. No matter what they would have done, it doesn't actually lead to justification of the kind of attack which has been launched against them. If they're justified, well, I have nothing to say. But I personally feel it is a out of proportion, disproportionate kind of a counter strategy or measure which has been unleashed against Iran, which should have been avoided in respect of the rules-based international order. Approval of the Congress should have been taken, and instead of calling by different name, Venezuela was called by the law enforcement activity. This will be called by different name. We must call spade a spade. This is a military operation. A military operation will have movement of the military platforms. You cannot call it by any other name than the military operation or the attack against Iran.
Professor Rohan Gunaratne and Major General Sudhakar, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us here in this discussion. Great pleasure to speak to you both, as always. We now move on to some final developments of this hour, all related to those escalating tensions. As they rise sharply in West Asia, India has intensified its diplomatic outreach with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, holding high-level discussions with regional leaders to review the security situation. Modi spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about escalating hostilities, stressing the importance of civilian safety and calling for restraint. He also expressed India's solidarity with the UAE following recent attacks, reaffirming support for the safety of the large Indian community there. Earlier, Modi chaired a cabinet committee on security meeting to assess the situation, focusing on the safety of Indian nationals in conflict zones. Next, we turn to the European response. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has held a phone call with the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Both leaders stressed that regional instability affects them deeply and close coordination is essential. They have contacted key regional partners to assess the situation and discuss de-escalation measures. Von der Leyen welcomed Turkey's readiness to mediate and support a peaceful resolution. The leaders also discussed preparedness for potential migration impacts and ongoing cooperation on Syria. They agreed diplomacy remains the only viable path to safeguard regional and global stability. Well, that's all that we have time for this hour. Keep watching News.